Hey guys, what's up? It's TF now. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This is going to be of the brand new Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H. Figuarts Spy Family Loid Forger, aka Agent Twilight. Very excited to have this figure. I reviewed Anya earlier last month in November, which each of these were slated a month before. So Twilight here was actually for November, but it seems like they're just ever so slightly delayed because this came out quite literally the beginning of December here, so I assume yours is going to come out at the very beginning of January, if not very end of this month. Anyway, I love this series, love the anime, love the manga, glad to have figures here. Let's jump right into it. This is very similar to Anya's packaging. As you can see, we have more of this like yellowish, like almost mustard yellow. So, you know, we have a consistent green color right here, but we do also have different colors for each of them so that there's a little bit of a lighter green, almost a teal color for Twilight's packaging. Anyway, figure in the box, Bandai Namco. This image right here, that's in that teal color, but then you have one in color right there, looking really good. Figure in the box with all the contents there. S.H. Figuarts Loid Forger. If you look real quick, that's a quick read-up of what the S.H. Figuarts line is all about. A gun little logo right there, that's pretty sick. You have Spy X Family. You do also have Tamashii Nation sticker. And you do have a Shop Pro, not sure what's going on there. But Bandai Tamashii Nations on this side, it says Loid Forger S.H. Figuarts, and you have an image of the figure right there. Same, pretty much similar on the other side, Loid Forger S.H. Figuarts, an image with the shocked face right there. There's another image right there with the character's name, and then you have a different facial expression there. That's what it looks like on the bottom. There's a support number and another pose with Loid right there. Here's the rest of the packaging on the back here. You can see, you know, him posed in different poses from the promotional shots, different icons here showing off all the different faces. It does say simple style, heroic action. A lot of stuff I can't read, unfortunately, but you have a barcode just in case you need it. I don't think there's going to be any stores in these states anytime soon, but this is for ages 15 and up. Let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. Here's the figure out of the packaging. I think that they have done a really nice job overall with the detailing of this figure. I've only played around with it a little bit, but so far, there are just like ever so slightly minor issues that I do need to address with this figure, but it is still really, really sick. Let's take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a close look at the figure. So it looks like the same thing they did with Anya, they're doing with Loid here. They don't have an instruction manual in here anymore. We do have stuff on the side, on the inside of the flap, that has, you know, shows off different faces, how to interchange them. And then you have this QR code right there. You scan that, it takes you to Tamashii Nation's webpage. And it has a good list of different instruction manuals for some of their products. So I have an image of Loid's instruction manual right there. And if you look on the inside here too, you can see all different hands that this comes with as well. It's a little bit hard to focus up right now because there's a bunch of stuff on the screen. We're going to start with the faces. So first of all, we're going to look at this one here. And I think that all these faces, and they just look great. And this one here too, I feel, I don't know, is it me or does this look a little bit weird that there's just this weird bag under the eye? I don't think it's entirely too weird. For some reason, it looks like some kind of misprint. I don't know what it is, but because I just can't put my finger on it, I'm not going to bother complaining about it too much. I still think that the actual eyes are nicely printed on there. I think the eyebrows too, and the lip color right there. It's just one little color right there where the sculpt is, but that's nice. And these little slight sideburns, all that looks good. Now the overall sculpting with the ears and the nose too. Then you have this one here. This is more of an angrier fighting type of expression here, where the eyes are a lot more squinted. And then you have the teeth and mouth color in there. All that is very nice. It does not mix too badly with each other, so that looks good. The eyebrows again, that color on the sideburns one more time is rather nice. Then you have just this one face here with his eyes. His eyes are closed. I don't know what's going on. There's a little bit of a speck on that. I'll have to get that off later. But you know, the eyes are just completely closed. The color on there is again pretty good. The rest of it, you kind of know what to expect with the ears and the sideburns and all that. All the paint on here, there's like a matte finish on all these faces, and all looks really good. This might be my favorite one. The more shocked expression here with those bags right underneath the eyes, those expressive eyebrows, the mouth all the way open there. They're very similar to this face here. The teeth and mouth color don't bleed into each other too badly. But as you can see, we have is that, no, that's paint. I thought that was actual texture. That's paint on there, but that's sweat right there. That looks actually really funny. So I think this figure comes with just about all the hands it needs. We also get this pistol. This is incredible. This is definitely, you know, its own take on a particular pistol. This looks a lot like a Luger pistol, but, you know, the barrel is not skinny like that is. The matte finish on the, it's not really finish. They just have matte paint on the brown of the handle. Looks good, and the rest of it is in this gunmetal, like glimmery, if that's even a word, type of paint, or it's sculpted like this. But it looks really good. A little bit of detailing in the trigger, where the magazine would be, or the barrel. That looks nice. Yeah, this is a really nice piece. I dig that. I'm glad they gave him his gun. So what I want to show off is we do have the open palmed hands, the more relaxed hands for this figure right there. Let me go over these hands. These fists right here, if I can even focus up right there. So these fists are just molded in the same, you know, the same skin tone, but it does have a matte finish similar to the faces, and you can see a little bit of the detailing of like scrunching in the hands right there. You know, it's not super duper detailed, but you know, they're bare hands, it's fine. And then we have gun holding hands for each side, so you know, you can be ambidextrous if you have an extra gun you wanted to give him. So that's cool. I have yet to put the gun in here. I would not leave the gun in these hands because the paint could wear off into them, so keep that in mind. That's there's something on my finger. Yeah, those look great. Not only do we get those bare hands, but we get pretty much the same three pairs of hands, but with gloves. And I think that's a really nice touch. And just before I do a comparison with the bare hands in a second, you can see some of those details of like scrunching of like these leather gloves in here. There's even a little bit of a seam line on parts like the thumb, on the palm and all that. You can see the scrunches in the palm too. So I believe the fists are the only thing that are different, because I could be wrong. I was looking at them side by side. It looks like the fingers look a little bit longer on the you know, the one on the left and the one on the right. And of course you could see all that clear, you know, scrunch detail and some lines in the leather, whereas this is all, you know, more skin natural looking details. Now, when it comes to this side, I do believe they are at least the exact same mold, but again, you have, actually, is there seam lines on the, yeah, so there's a seam line on the thumb, but not on this, you know, the skin tone thumb. Let me bring these two out. These are the gun holding hands, and they're just in a matte black paint. They look really good. There's a little bit of a speck on there, whatever's going on. Yeah, all those look good, and they actually do a really good job making these look pretty nice, like leather. Last but not least, we have the open palm hands. Again, pretty good detailing to make them look like leather. If you look at the back of the thumb right there. Yeah, so pretty much everything you need for Loid is included with this figure. So this is the face that this figure comes packaged with, a more stern, very blank expression like we see a lot with Twilight. I think the printing in the eyes looks really, really great. I have no complaints. There was a tiny bit of a speck up here, whatever was going on there. I had to scratch off my finger just a little bit. I don't see it there anymore. It's not picking up on camera too much, but just very slightly annoying because you can't really remove that with like acetone or anything like that, because this is also painted, you know, the face. So that was a little risky on my part, just, you know, scratching it, because sometimes there could be a mark there. Anyway, it looks good. No complaints with the overall molding and sculpt. And then again, the eyes look really great. A little bit of lip color going on in there, and that stern expression. And we do have some pretty decent matte paint in his blonde hair. This looks really nicely done. I think that the sideburns again are pretty good. I think there's a little bit of like light, like highlights almost going in there, which I don't think should be there. You have to look really hard to notice it though. You can see right there. I don't think that's completely perfect. That might be a tiny bit of a paint splotch in there on that stock face that we're getting with this guy. The hair is also a little bit spiky. Keep that in mind if you want to move this around and grab it and then interchange the face plates, which I have not done that yet. It feels like this is going to be, ooh, I might have to do that later because that might just be a little bit stuck for now. But then we do have this part of the hair which is a little bit more shaved off, and there's a little bit of like sculpt work in there, but the paint overall is very consistent. It looks really good. a little bit of a speck on the neck. So there's just like on the skin tone in particular, there's a few areas that has specks. No, I have not noticed it on the rest of like the actual suit. And even then, the amount of specks, I've only seen like 2, maybe a third one on one of these other faces. That's about it. One thing I do want to mention, when I popped off this neck, you could see it's actually not picking up too well on camera. I think it's starting to darken just a little bit, based on, you know, whatever paint and colored plastic we have in here. So just be wary of that. I think there's not much you can do because, you know, you can't really take off the neck all the time. It's going to look like a weird figure. So I would say move a little cautiously. Try not to make sure the paint doesn't rub up too much on the neck like that. The rest of this is just a very simplistic suit, but it all looks really good. I don't remember if that's Weiss's logo that's on there. I don't think he would be wearing that, but it's a nice gold color right there, and it's so small. You know, they could have easily accidentally splotched gold onto the, you know, this light green here, but they didn't, and I think it looks really good. The white shirt, the red tie, all that looks really nice. That's what the back of the coat looks like. You know, this long seam line, a little bit of like a scrunch up here, whatever that is. A little bit of wrinkles in there. I don't know what's going on with a little bit of this texturing pattern here. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be there. I think it's a little bit heavy right there if it's supposed to be smooth. But I just noticed that just now. I'm not going to really knock that too much. It wasn't super duper noticeable. We do have something going on with how they sculpted this here. It looks like everything pivots at this part on the inside of the arm, right there. So that could look a little weird. This whole piece looks a little too long, and when you're looking right at it, it is a little distracting how all that looks. But you know, I guess it's supposed to look smooth to just kind of fit the uniform shape of the coat, and it's a consistent color, so I'm not gonna knock it too much. You can see that joint in there. It's a little bit more of like a faded type of green than what we have here, and this definitely looks matte, and it looks a little bit shiny here too. And then also on the elbows, they look a little too shiny too. These kind of almost have the Figma effect, where sometimes the Figma joints look a little too disky, you know, a little too much like circles. It might be this tiny gap to allow for articulation that's doing it right there, or my index finger right there. But if this was all, that gap wasn't there, it would probably look a little bit more natural. But they were probably thinking, we need to add some articulation in there, so there's that. So again, it's not something I could knock too much, just something I wanted to mention. Wrinkles throughout the coat, looking really nice. And we have these dark green buttons right there, and they even have, oh no, what's going on in here? You see this splotching on the back of the hand? I just noticed this. This wasn't just, what happened? I didn't do that, did I? That's weird. I'm gonna have to see what's up with that. That is not my particular favorite. I'm gonna have to go back and look at some of my footage, because I just noticed that just now. That didn't happen just now, did it? Anyway, we're gonna move on. We do also have, the white cuffs. The paint on there is actually really nice. We have this slightly darker green, like, vest here around the coat, and you have these darker green buttons there. These seam lines on the side, and a little bit of that handkerchief right there. Those seam lines where the buttons would go in. All the buttons and wrinkles and everything on here looking really nice. Now we get down to the bottom half of the figure with the pants. You can see what's going on with the just ever so. It's a little bit weird to mention this, but the zipper is not super detailed. Not really any skin off my nose, if I'm being honest. You have a bit of a weird seam line or bump, whatever's going on here towards the butt, though. So one thing I do want to mention, and I'll talk about articulation in a second, of course, but these ball joints are so loose that this figure does have a problem staying on its own. When I was doing the, unfortunately his legs are a little too skinny too for certain posing. Sometimes a vanilla pose, I think his feet are a little loose too. It could get a little annoying, make him stand like that. It was a little bit of a struggle to do the 360 portion for this figure, unfortunately, because I wanted to fall over a decent amount. But I think there might be a way to fix that. Quite literally, there's a ball joint. I'm not going to pull that right now, but there's a ball joint in there going into, the T-joint in the crotch right there. It's a very small ball joint. That might be why it's doing it. Anyway, seam lines on the inside of the legs. Some nice wrinkles on the outside there. Very nice smooth detailing too. The way how that his uniform is supposed to look, or suit, not really uniform. And we have a seam line on the back here, kind of similar to what's going on the elbows and the back of the knees here. With that slight issue, I don't think it's as bad here. The color's just a little bit off. Then we get down to the shoes, and they actually kind of look like some nice. They have a pretty good, like almost like leather look to them, or just like a glossy look. They have the glossy finish on here could be a little bit better, but the actual sculpting on like the laces and all that looks pretty good. I think they actually did a good job making this ankle look a little bit different. I don't know if that's supposed to like signal, you know, it's supposed to look like a sock or something, but you know, we do also have the bottom with a little bit of like dark gray on there. That's what the bottom of the feet look like. So, you know, there's a bit of a speck on here, and then there is something, I don't know what happened here. I'm gonna have to watch some footage again, but that's a little disappointing, especially because this figure is pretty expensive, like almost like 65 to 70 bucks. So if it's been like that, yeah, that's a little unacceptable. Popped off the face to show off the articulation, how this system works really quick. You have a hinge in here. It's a bit of a dumbbell joint. It has a ball joint at the other end. So we'll pop this face back on there. And earlier I was trying to pull forward instead of up like you're supposed to on the hairpiece. So just keep that in mind. But all that range of motion is really nice. You get the up like that. The down is really good. Swiveling is fine, of course, pivots like that. And you also get that additional ball joint at the neck going into the body, so it allows for all this great range of motion. This system going on in here, I feel like I don't want to mess around with it too much. It looks like it's pretty thick and durable enough, but sometimes like moving it forward, it feels a little fragile to me. Not like it's going to break like right now, but eventually I feel like I'm going to warp something. It's almost like a drop down method when you're moving downward, but the up motion is really not great. That's with the additional like hinge going on in here. That's as far out as it wants to go. It could be better, but it also is not too bad. Arms can go all the way around. They have a little bit of an upper arm swivel. We have a little bit of a swivel here and a little bit of a swivel here where I'm grabbing with my left hand. But we do have a single joint elbow that gets a little bit over 90. Standard wrist articulation for Tamashii Nation figures where it has a hinge and then a swivel, and then this has a ball joint here, but it's really tight on my figure. I'm not going to mess around with it too much. Ball joint here at the waist. It can swivel like this. The back could be better. The forward is okay, and it does have a little bit of side to side. The coat's going to get in the way the most. You know, you're going to break up the sculpt a little bit doing this, but I don't think it's that bad. This piece, it seems like this actually wants to move. Just ever, you know, it won't move all the way because this is a hard plastic piece, but it will move just a little bit. We do have these legs here. I think that this hip might be a little bit more loose than this one, but it looks like there's almost a little bit of a drop down method here. You can kick out like that. The back, you know, is actually okay. And then we do have splits here, which I don't think are too bad. They're just not perfect splits. Upper thigh swivel going on in here. Single joint knee. There's really not much swiveling at these extra pieces similar to the arms. We have a swivel at the ankle. The down is pretty decent. The up could be better. We do have ankle rockers there and a toe hinge. I got a pretty decent number of size comparisons in here. First of all, let's measure the figure. Centimeters wise, I think we're looking at like 17.5 centimeters. That's going to make this figure pretty close to 6 3/4 inches. So just getting this out of the way, over on the far right, that Marvel Legends Spider-Man looks like it's about the same height, if not just a little bit shorter than Loid. It looks like Loid's a pretty tall SHF. And then you have a teenager like Yuta, of course, it's going to be a little bit shorter. Outside of their series, and even sometimes within their respective series, these figures don't entirely scale well with each other, but they're not too disproportionate here. Of course, we have little Anya here, looking very cute and very small compared to Loid right there, of course, with her being like 4 and him being a grown adult. Then you have Piccolo, a little bit shorter, and then of course another teenager like Naruto is going to be a little bit shorter too. Overall, I am pretty pleased with this figure. The biggest problem is just the back of the hand with that scuff. That was actually earlier when I was doing the 360 of this figure. That was there, so I didn't do that. This figure was shipped like that. And this is after shipping from Amiami, a $70 figure. If I'm gonna, you know, knock on Marvel Legends for doing it, might as well be fair and do it here too, especially because you're paying for more. You know, a couple specs on some of the faces I can get past too. You know, I was able to scratch those off. And then the hips being a little bit loose, you know, it's kind of hard to stabilize this figure. Other than those, you know, minor problems, the rest of this figure is really fantastic. The overall sculpt of the body and the paint on here for the rest of the suit is really sick. All those faces capture Loid really well. comes with pretty much every face you need. The gun is a nice touch too. And even though it seems like we don't get that much variety of hands, it's nice that we have, you know, extra hands doing the same thing in the gloves. So I think that that's really sick. I can't wait to see what else they do with the Spy Family line. I really hope they don't stop after school Anya whenever we're supposed to get a school Anya figure. They haven't officially announced that yet, but we are getting that. I'm really hoping we get casual versions of, you know, Loid and Yor, as well as some other characters. I love this series, and I hope that they keep going on with some of the figures. This figure, I will leave links down in the description below, but it is super sold out from some of the Japanese websites, and it's going to be a bit of a wait from places like Big Bad Toy Store. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.